Yo, welcome to The Creative Agent. Today we're with Dib Chidiac. We talk building brands, building teams, and building a strong community presence. Let's get into it. All right, guys, I'm here with Dib Chidiac. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited today. I want to chat about yourself and the brand and the agency here. I want to go back and sort of talk to you about making that leap from a big franchise agency, the kind of stability and security that lends itself to. What made you sort of take the plunge into your own thing?
And I think 10 years, I guess it was in the back of my mind for probably the later 5 years of that 10-year period, and I was evolving as an agent. My team, I was essentially an agent within a business within a business. So I had to grow, and I was sort of shackled down a bit as well.
Okay.
So I wanted to spread my wings and fly.
In what way do you think that's a very common thing for a franchise to kind of hold agents back a little bit in that respect?
I think they don't want you to be bigger than the brand. Yeah. It's always the brand first, where I believe it's the agent that does the selling, it's the agent that does the listing, it's the agent that does the work. Yep. The branding is probably that safety net, but we're in 2020. I think the brand is the agent now.
When do you think that started transitioning?
In terms of branding or in terms of...
Yeah, that kind of like...
But I probably saw it, for me, take off in more 2015, thereabouts. That's why that last 4 or so years in particular, it was more important. Like I finished up in 2018 in the franchise. Yeah.
So what were you doing at that point to kind of build that brand of yourself rather than the franchise?
Well, I didn't realise I was doing it at the time, but I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted people to use me when they wanted to sell. So when I would sell something, all my flyers would go out, I sold that property. When I would sell something on the signboard, a big sticker with my name and my face, and then people said, oh, well, I can do that also. So when you drive by on a Saturday or a midweek, you'd see my signs pointing to the direction of the open home with my face and name. You'd see a lot of sold boards, social proof. You'd see the internet adverts in the sold section, the buy section, the flyers, and obviously the phone calls, hey, it's Dib Chidiac.
Awesome. So your name really became that a brand in and of itself, right?
In the market's opinion, yes.
Yeah. And I guess from a fundamentals point of view, I think branding is a really powerful thing. Like you said, social proof is there, and in a way of being present and having that attention and seeing your face and name everywhere you go. I guess what are you doing to kind of make that then resonate in the community? Like how strong is the word of mouth aspect? Referrals.
I mean, most of my business nowadays, not the early part of it, is repeat business, or you sold this person's property. I didn't speak to them, but I know you got a good result, or I seen that you've sold this. So the community knows. There's a saying out there which I really love. I mean, sometimes it's sort of like, oh, they take it the wrong way, like sell through Dib, don't buy. He's very aggressive in terms of getting the highest price, so you got to pay big money.
They say don't buy your stuff.
But I'm like, mate, if you have something to sell, it's a good idea to buy from me, then I'll sell for you too. But I really believe in doing the right thing. Like at the end of the day, that's my job first and foremost. So if you take your job serious, it's to get the owner the best possible price. Obviously, you've got to do the right thing by the buyer too. But essentially also everybody's watching. So if you're doing a low sale, you're doing a low sale there, and you're doing a low sale there, you're not going to get business. Yep. It's a small community, Concord and surrounding. I don't just do Concord, but we'll call it Concord, small community.
Because I imagine there is that balance between drawing every cent that's there, biggest possible result, but doing it in a respectful way that still looks after people, right?
100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, you need a buyer as much as you need the owner. And it's who's in the market at any given time when they're looking to sell, and that's the best that you can get. Yeah. Close the deal.
So then when you kind of made that leap, right, and you went, okay, it was like 4 or 5 years, what was the real, when you laid out the plan, because I think it's something that, a lot of agents are kind of looking at doing now, or this kind of rise of the boutique?
It's the next best thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the moment.
So like, what's the plan when you sit there and write it out and go, okay, I'm gonna do this? What are those things that you need to actually think about?
Well, first and foremost, I was lucky that my wife Stephanie is the business partner as well, and obviously my partner. So I would have been stressed if I didn't have her, because I mainly focus on sales. So when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, okay, work out what you need to do to run a business, what you need to have. So you write down that list, from the account side to the admin side I've always had staff. So from the staff side to the processes, which we already had, and systems, to the suppliers, to the rent. You have to think of everything basically.
Yeah.
And you have to write that down. And then you have to realize who does what and who looks after what. And let me tell you, if they're not invested in the business, they're not going to have that level of care like you do.
Yeah.
Especially in the startup. Like if you've never done it before,
Totally.
you probably should ask a few people that have done it before. And at first it seemed like, wow, this is so overwhelming. But it was easy. Like I could do it tomorrow like this.
Yes.
But I think when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I'm also busy. I got to think about listing as well. I don't want to lose momentum. So I think if you decide that you want to do it, you probably need somebody to do it with, in my opinion, unless you just want to do, I need to specialise in sales, and that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So
kind of building out that support team is really important.
Absolutely.
Did you talk to a lot of people that have done it before?
Well, I was fortunate that my brother and cousin opened their own agency many years ago, and they did well. They're killing it in property management, and they started their sales department in the last few years, and they're doing really well too. And they got real good market share. And I just looked at them; they're more system-based, process-based. So I spoke to them. I probably spoke to a few other really good business owners and leaders. Mm-hmm. But the main thing is, I just sat down with my wife and just let's just do it and see how we go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Get into it. Which kind of going back to you building up that name as a brand. You literally called your new agency Dib Chidiac.
Yeah.
And when you first look at it, you go, dude, how's the balls on this guy just naming it by his name? But I think that really holds weight, right? Like if you spent that long, 10 years building up your name, that's a powerful thing. Yeah.
Well, also got to call it I could call it my surname, Chidiac. My brother's agency already had that.
Yeah.
So, and people knew Dib Chidiac equaled real estate, more particularly sales.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? My wife's just do that. I was hesitant to be. I was like, I don't want it to be about me, but it's not about me, which is great too.
Yep.
At the start, it had to be to just get the numbers on the board, show that the marketplace that we're just the same but better now. And so I shouldn't say the same. It's sort of it's that safety net. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably the best thing that we've done, because when it's you've seen the marketplace, some really other successful agencies that back in the day called it after themselves, and then they've changed it up a bit. Called it Dib Chidiac. I didn't want to do franchise, and I didn't want to call it I don't want to say a random name and someone has that agency and disappoint them, but I didn't want to call it something and people be scratching their head, who's that and what is it?
Yeah. Cool. And then I guess in terms of the branding, did you come up with the colours and things like that? Did you work with something?
Yeah, I chose the colour, definitely. I mean, don't call it pink, it's blush.
It's blush?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of it, peach.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, it's definitely not, because it doesn't look like pink to me. No. And there's nothing wrong with pink, but it's just,
right?
it's unique.
It's different, though. You don't see that. And I think it's really funny. What made you kind of pick?
I received a thank you card at one time, and I looked and I was like, wow, it's a really nice colour. And I kept coming back to him. If I ever do anything, I'm choosing this colour. Wow. Man, it's super hard to get it correct in the print aspect.
Yeah, I can see that.
But online, looks super awesome. Yeah. And it was hard to sort of come up with the marketing material because of that. But it was that's my colour. Yeah. Work with it.
Awesome. It's good, man. It's funny. I'm really interested in that kind of stuff, the brand aspect. Myself, obviously, but yeah, I look at it, it's, you have a lot of real estate agents who they go with the real kind of traditional, because I think colours can influence people in a way. There's been a lot of marketing data on it, but yeah, like your yellows, your reds in terms of like a sales,
your blues, the safety, yeah,
blue, like all that kind of stuff, and you go, I think that color you blush feels really kind of like soft and authentic and family, and
it's different, it's fresh. I mean, since that has happened, I've seen other people try to do it similar or go that other way. But I mean, I think, look, I'm not going to say I innovated the different colour, but I think we were really unique. I hadn't seen anybody until after we didn't have that colour, and that for me it was like, wow, that will also stand out, and it'll connect to also a different market too.
Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, you're really conscious about your demographic and market in your own?
Not really, but I think it just was about connecting with them and remembering them, because when they see the same colour, it's like, oh, it's the same, it's the same. And when someone sees them, like, wow. And I think, like, I have a lot of people say, my wife really loves your colour. Some males are like, man, you should change your colour. I'm just like, what for? Yeah. But everyone's got an opinion. Some people don't like your colour. Right? Yeah. And most people do like it, and at the end of the day, if I like it, that's what matters.
Yeah, no, I talk all the time about being authentic to yourself and
100%.
Shit. I think a lot of real estate agents care too much about what other real estate agents think. You know?
I have no idea what they do or think. I'm in my own world in that regards.
Yeah. Awesome, man. And then how about like getting the team behind it? Like, you know, did you guys come up with new values for the business and kind of new ways you wanted to do things?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me was culture. Like, if the culture is not right, this isn't going to work. And I've seen other cultures within the previous organisation and outside where you hear people tell you this is the culture that we have. So we started literally fresh. Yep. I brought Deb, my EA, who's on maternity leave at the moment. We got Jimmy, who stepped in, and she's awesome. She came from Queensland. But I brought Deb with me. My brother was previously working with me, and he got a good opportunity to run a franchise as a manager and in a nearby suburb. So it was really good because we were doing well. I was doing well in Concord, and that's an opportunity for him. So I started fresh. Deb came along. I got a new team, which was really important to me. Awesome. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I didn't want, and I still have the same team today in like nearly 2 years. Awesome. But culture is important. Hunger, like if you were hungry, you can't teach someone to be hungry. Yeah. You know that. So if they were hungry, willing to learn, they could work with the colleagues. They have that attitude where I help them out, and I don't care if I've got to put in a bit more effort and time, and you come in early, and just really nice people, team players. Awesome. I was like, mate, if you can learn and you want to grow and you're hungry and you got good. You can, work with this culture, you're in.
Awesome. Do you think that, now that you're on the other side of agency ownership, are you going to help build your agents up as their own little personal brand in that space?
100%. I mean, when I did this, the whole plan was it not to be about me. I mean, obviously, it had to be a lot of me at a certain point. Yeah. But we briefly spoke about Olivia just recently joined. We grew up together, she's practically family, like it's my auntie's niece. We grew up in the same street, we played football together, she played rugby league. And then obviously family events and social events and whatnot. And then she obviously got into real estate in different areas. And then anyway, eventually joined our team, which has been great. And she's going to grow as a better agent because of that. Paul, who joined me when I opened the doors in 2019 in Jan, he's growing really well. Like, he's going really good. He's listed and selling. Luca, for an example, he's doing extremely well. He went from an agent that had about maybe 9 months in as a sales assistant, and he's listing and selling his own properties also. We've got young William, who came from the leasing department, is in the sales assistant, so he's learning that.
Same sort of way you did, like putting their name out, pushing results, pushing social proof.
They're lead agents on properties. They call whoever they want. Absolutely same sort of thing.
Awesome. Cool, man. Going to kind of like the marketing side of things, have you seen, because I look at like Concord and that greater inner west area, it still feels like a bit of an older demographic in terms of like the buyers and sellers there. I'd be interested to know kind of how your marketing content shifted in regards to like, is it still really print heavy? How much more digital are you guys doing?
I could probably do a bit more digital, but I mean, I was always the believer of usually agents were doing digitals to show other agents what they're doing. I'm like, I don't care about that. We do digital in terms of obviously online, adverts, social media sometimes. I'm still more phone call based. You do your occasional flyers, but I think for me it's more that face to face. They can see our signs in the area, so I think for them that's probably a big safety social proof. And then when you're doing those phone calls, keeping in contact and meeting face to face. So I don't do print as heavy as I used to, and I don't do social media as much as I should. And we must be doing something right in terms of the phone calls and.
Totally. Why do you think the phone calls are so powerful?
It's just sort of like it's point of mind, point of contact, you know, making the phone, Dib's out there calling me, having the chat. It's important because you can see something and then forget what you saw. If someone's calling you and they're keeping in touch, it's that relationship building, those touch points.
Awesome. So you think, because I'm really conflicted with signboards at the moment. But I think that's a good point. Like if you're seeing boards up around everywhere, do you kind of get the sense, and from a seller's perspective, that this guy's really popular in the area, he knows what he's doing?
Well, like if you're talking about the older market, which you mentioned, chances are they're probably not social media savvy. The in-West courier is no longer around. So you're either going to get a print, a phone call, or they'll drive around and they see your signs. And I think for them, it's like, well, if your signs are there, it must be good. The younger generation, well, they'll jump on the online portals, sold section or buy section or social media, or they'll get our emails, our marketing emails.
How often are you doing the emails?
Once a week. The rundown that I shoot with Christian.
Of course. And do you get a good response from them?
That could be better. So we'll work on that, but eventually it's like, if it's not broken, don't need to fix it, but I want to refine it. So it could be a bit better.
Man, it sounds like you've got the fundamentals really well set, right? So, the team's there, the brand's there. You said you got the procedures and things like that. But it still feels like a really people-based agency, right?
100%. It's always been that. I mean, like, for example, Paul get a phone call, hey, you just sold this for my friend and blah, 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 and just in a short period of time from working with us and you'll list that property. Or Luca's future father-in-law has a listing that they recommend to us, or somebody's friend wants to sell and they're like, these dudes are good.
Okay. Do you still think a young agent coming into it can build within a larger franchise? Like, are there still positives for doing that? Yeah,
there are some really good agents that have a franchise business and they kill it, and absolutely, it's people. I believe, in my opinion, I never saw support from a franchise that people say that they have or say that they do. But I really believe it's about the people. So for an example, if I was a franchise principal, is that what they call it, or franchisee, I would support people very similar to a boutique, my boutique. So it's just about the people and the systems and who's inside of it.
And I love when guys actually take that ownership themselves, like instead of having an excuse that, they're going to pay franchise fees and all that kind of things. It's really them taking responsibility for, hey, you know what, this is my business. And I feel like everybody, particularly a real estate agent, but anyone, man, even my guys, I do think everyone's kind of the CEO of their business, as cliche as it is, and
absolutely,
they have a personal brand, and every interaction they have, every phone call, everything they put out on social,
and not just that, man, like I invest a lot in training. So I pay people to train me and my team, and I don't know all the answers, I don't know everything, and even I meet with younger agents than myself, and I think you're young. I'm nearly 30, but I meet with people like in their early 20s, and they're teaching me things that either I knew and maybe I didn't realise how important they were now at my level, or I didn't know, and it's like, wow. So no matter who it is.
What was the last thing that kind of...
So I met up with a young gun, Brandon from Bressick Whitney, in the Balmain area.
Yeah.
I think their office is Roselle, Balmain. I'm not too sure what it's called, and we were just having a chat, and he does real good buy work. And obviously, when I first started, I did that too, but now I do a lot. I have many hats that I wear. Yeah. And he just showed me the way that to do it slightly different. And I was like, oh, wow. It was like when I heard that, it was like the best thing I've ever heard in the last couple of years. And mate, I come into work the next couple of days and I'm like, this is how we're doing this. Now we're doing this a little bit different. And we're just smashing it. We're just going bang, bang, bang. I'm selling more off market because of it. I have that. I mean, Ivan Bressick coaches me now as well. Yeah. And everyone knows who he is. He's a gun. And what he's just taught me on a level as a leader, as an agent, as a salesperson, as a business owner, it's been amazing. I've got other wonderful mentors and trainers too, but just recently, that's the sort of training that I'm doing at the moment.
I love that, man. I think it's so important. It also kind of, because I think mentors and coaches and stuff are super important. I have myself, like a personal business coach and, different groups and things that I pull information from. But I also feel like it fills your energy up a lot as well. Like that, when you learn that new thing, you go out and start implementing it.
And they're like, have you done that yet? I'm like,
the accountability.
No, I'm doing the other thing now. I want to implement that next week. Yeah.
That's a big thing too. Like as business owners, you've never had really that person above you that's kind of like...
Well, I'm lucky I have my wife that does that because she's really good. Like if I sit down, if I lost listing, let's work out why this is not happening. So, because also it's a business partner too. And
yeah, killing that. So I guess what's kind of next for the Dib Chidiac brand? I mean, you said you didn't want to franchise it out, but...
Matt, I think what's next is continue to build young agents and progress them. When I say young, everyone's young, no matter how old you are. But in my mind is like that mindset that I'm willing to learn, I'm hungry, I'm humble, and at the moment we do have that younger agents. Grow them, progress them, get them to kill it, and they're doing quite well at the moment. Continue to grow the property management side of things. Eventually step out of the business a bit in terms of not having it rely on me so much on listing and selling. Yeah. And I can obviously work on the business, not in the business. Yeah. And grow our area. I think that's important to me, is growing that area.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, yeah, look, I think there's some really cool takeaways there for people. And I think that, you're really the embodiment of how powerful a name can be as a brand. And I think, everybody should, take some lessons away from that, those steps that you do to build yourself up, doesn't matter where you are, but how you react with people and interact with people can really be make or break success-wise,
Well, whether it's real estate or any business, if you really like what you do, you are obsessed with it, and you have those process systems, follow-ups, and you're consistent and the goals are in front of you, mate, I'm sure anybody can do it.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Sweet. See you next week for the rundown.